Well, hello, everybody. This is Greg Ryder. Thank you for joining us tonight. It is a fantastic night here in Vail, Colorado, where I'm at. And tonight we're going to be talking about the $6 billion Wealth Acceleration Blueprint. Let me know where you're calling in from, and you can hear me okay. I see Joel says he can hear me loud and clear, but I want to see what cities you guys are calling in from. The lines are filling up. There's people coming in from all over the world. I see Arizona. I see California. I see Georgia. I see Australia. I see United Kingdom. I see Phoenix. I see San Diego. I see Los Angeles. I see San Francisco. You just gotta love. Every time we do this, I just love this. Just people from all over the world hopping on, and it's just such cool technology that we can share this wisdom and insight with you guys from all over the world. Look at that, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, Vancouver, Canada, Aruba. Oh, hey Theodore, what's going on? Theodore, I met. He came to our event. He came all the way from Aruba to our event. He has a hotel down there. Very cool. So look at that. There's another San Francisco. There's a Georgia. There's a Utah. There's another Los Angeles. There's another San Diego. Very cool. Theodore says, "I'm okay, Greg. Good to see you, Theodore. This is cool." So we're gonna get right going into today's presentation. I guess everyone can hear me okay. I want to commend you guys for getting here on time. I know people always show up late, but that's going to be their problem because we like to start on time. Why? Because we value your time. We know it is the most valuable asset you have. We really value the fact that you're sharing it with us tonight. And we're doing something really, really special. And I can't tell you how special it is. It just, to me, it's just something so unique and so special that you guys really are having the ability to get the wisdom and insight from my mentor, my coach, and my business partner. And in the presentation, he's going to share part of his story and some of his accomplishments. But I do want to personally say, Bert Ullman, for you guys on this call, if you could just imagine a guy that's built multiple hundreds of millions of dollars, taking companies from 40 million to 700 million, from 80 million to 800 million. He's done billions of dollars of transactions. And for him to share his time and to create this course that's going to help you create brand equity and create wealth. That's what we want to do. We want to help you understand the significance of building a brand and the significance that a properly built brand creates wealth and goodwill that's going to help you create an exit and retirement and really, really create the wealth for your family and your future and everything. And that's what this is all about. And there's no other guy on planet Earth, in my opinion, and I'm biased, of course, that could give you the wisdom and the insights more than Bert Ullman. And so without further ado, I know it's one thing for me to say how great Bernd is, but I'm going to play a quick little video here, and I want you guys to see another gentleman talk about Bernd. And I want you to pay close attention to what he says about Bernd and the words the adjectives he calls Bernd. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video real quick, and you guys let me know what you think of this.
But I want to acknowledge my buddy here, Bert Ullman, who took my company from 100 million to 400 million globally. And these are the type of individuals that I've learned from and I have in Damon On Demand. Bert's no longer with me. He's out there running brands for J-Lo and Mark Anthony, but the man is a genius. This guy's a powerhouse. Say hello to everybody. Hello, everybody. All right, there you go.
And I play that video, and it literally gives chills to it gives me chills. So you guys, I want to just do one little check now that I've changed presenters to Bernd. Let everyone know that you can see that video, what you thought of that video, and then you can see Bernd's screen. Go ahead and type in the question box that you saw that video, and you can see Bernd's screen. Yes to both. Yes, 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 yes. And yeses are flying in. Okay, a little bit of a delay there, but there they go. All right, so that's fantastic. So with that introduction, Bernd, I'm going to go ahead and throw it off to you. Take it away. It's all yours.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Greg. I appreciate it. Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everybody. And unlike Greg, who is off in the mountains, I'm in make-believe mountains right now in Greenwich, Connecticut, where we're buried under 2 feet of snow. So hello from the 2 feet of snow. Now, that should be relatively familiar to me, and I'll tell you why. You may notice that I'm speaking with a bit of an accent. And while I work in New York, my accent is not from Brooklyn. On the contrary, and here comes the snow reference, I am actually from Norway. And I know what you are thinking, of course. You're now thinking that I am supposed to be tall and blonde, but as you can tell from the picture, that didn't exactly happen. But let me assure you, the fashion industry is a tough industry. And when I started out, I was 6'5" and blonde, and just so there's no misunderstandings, I have included a picture so you can see the before and after. Here is after, and here goes before. There you go. That's how it was when I started out. Look what the fashion industry did to me. Anyway, moving right along.
That's funny.
Sorry,
Sorry, I had to laugh.
I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. So for those of you who haven't seen my illustrious partner, Greg Ryder, here he is. And I like to just start out the presentation with a quick little riddle. And the riddle goes as follows. What does Greg Ryder and iconic fashion designer Tommy Hilfiger have in common? Other than their natural good looks, of course. The answer? Well, the answer is that I am partners with both of them. So Star Branding is a company that was founded back in 2009. Tommy Hilfiger, his brother Andy, and Joe, who runs Tommy's family office and a private equity firm. And we were simple guys. We started out and we say Star Branding. The name says what it does. Stars can be brands. But when you're partners with a Tommy Hilfiger, you have to think big. You have to go after big transactions. So we partnered with Li & Fung, the largest apparel manufacturer in the world. And together we created an entity called MESH, which stands for Music, Entertainment, and Sport Holdings. And I was the founding CEO of MESH, and I was CEO of Star Branding. And under the MESH umbrella, we did a number of high-profile transactions. I will revert in more detail, but just here I'd mention a couple. We did the Rolling Stones 50th anniversary collection. We did American Idol. We did Steven Tyler. We partnered with Universal Music Group, the largest music company in the world, and we created a collection for all of their stars that we placed in 500 Macy's stores. Then Eddie Lampert, chairman and CEO of Sears Holding Corp., came knocking, and he wanted me to become CEO of a new division he was launching called Shop Your Way Brands. But Sears had been struggling financially for quite a while, even back then, and ultimately I opted to not accept employment with Sears, but it became a Star Branding contractual relationship, and I became acting CEO of Shop Your Way Brands. And under the Shop Your Way Brands umbrella, we launched two brands, Nicki Minaj and Adam Levine. So, and quite an undertaking, a lot of fun. Launched these brands into 500 fully fixtured shops in Kmart and drove that business to $200 million. Adam was, you know, a dream. The guys wanted to be him and the women wanted to be with him. So we built a collection for both men and women. Nikki, a little different. Her followers are called Barbs, and they are diehard followers. Hardly seen any more loyal followers. One of the interesting things that we had happen with Nikki was that whenever you're working with celebrities, and quite frankly any kind of fashion brand, you need to kind of have approval process it in place so you can control your brand. So we would send samples for approval to Nikki. This is before they're being produced. And then she would love them, take pictures like the one on the bottom on the right there. That's one of our approval samples. She would take the picture, she would post it to Instagram. And in a matter of 24 hours, we would have 600,000 likes. So 600,000 people that loved it and wanted to buy it. The only problem was it hadn't been produced yet because this was, as I said, an approval sample. Anyway, I was alluding to us doing very high-profile transactions under Star Branding and under that mesh umbrella. And the biggest transaction of all was the Jennifer Lopez and Mark Antony transaction that we did for Kohl's, where we had $3.5 billion in purchasing guarantees from Kohl's. Highly, highly successful. This coincided with the emergence of a new demographic. These are some of the things that you always want to try to be alert to and in tune with for your businesses and industries. So this was an emerging trend. All the large national retailers noticed that they had an increase in Latin shoppers in their stores. They didn't necessarily have a means to address it. And we jumped on that and, as I said, created the largest celebrity deal ever done. Of course, in order to do that and in order for it to work, you have to kind of really get into the mind and the spirit of the talent to bring proper product to market. So in order to really ensure that we could do that, I ended up spending 2 days trapped in Jennifer closet. But, it wasn't such a horrifying experience. Jennifer's closet is larger than my living room, and I have a very large living room. And it was fully catered. So it was quite the experience. But as they say, nothing sells product as well as product. So you absolutely have to get the execution of the product right. Another fun little anecdote here is you can see at the bottom there how Jennifer and Mark, they were married at the time, looked lovey-dovey. Well, we built this whole, this business was built around originally the his and hers version of the brand. So Jennifer was for the women, obviously, Mark for the men, and the shops were together, and the campaigns, the advertising campaigns were shot together, and it was all this one big happy family and joint images all over the place. We were within 30 days of launch. I still remember it very well. I was vacationing in Paris. I was at the Hotel Maurice when my BlackBerry in the middle of the night started going completely amok, back in the BlackBerry days. And eventually, since my phones are always on 24/7, eventually I figured, well, there's a reason why I keep them on 24/7, so I answered. And Jennifer and Mark had announced their split. So within 30 days, they announced their split. We had to redo all collateral, all ad campaigns, all imagery, all of it. But lo and behold, we got it done, and we had a hugely successful launch, and the brands remain tremendously successful to this day. Moving right along, Fat Fashions. So again, I actually received a phone call, working kind of in reverse order, and I'll cover that quickly or later. I was corporate vice president of Donna Karan. The CEO that hired me there had joined a new company called Kelwood. He called me and asked me to come over because they were looking to make an acquisition of a brand called Fat Fashions. So that's Russell Simmons and Kimora Lee Simmons. And I was fortunate. I got there at a great time and was part of driving retail sales from approximately 80 million to 800 million at Fat Fashions. But one of the stories there that I thought was interesting, it was early on in my relationship there, the outgoing CEO was giving a speech at an industry convention, and it was who is who in the fashion industry with their all heavy hitters. And this CEO, who is a heavy hitter, Kelwood at the time, was a multi-billion-dollar fashion conglomerate. And he starts his speech by saying, "Do you know how you become a $2 billion fashion conglomerate?" And the room went quiet. We all leaned in to pick up this ultimate wisdom. And he said, "You begin at 3 billion. So I'm hoping that later in this presentation, we can talk about how we can start working towards those numbers together, because I like to think that some of the recipes that we have here can accomplish that for you. Prior to Fat Fashions, I spent a number of years at FUBU as president of Fubo International. And there I was fortunate enough to be part of driving that business from around 40 million retail to around 700 million retail. Obviously, it was hugely successful. I think most of you now know Daymond John as the people shark on the very, very successful television show Shark Tank. Just finishing out and rounding out my resume here, I was president of new business development for Kelwood. I was also managing director of Coogee, and as I mentioned, corporate vice president of Donna Karan International. These are just some of the brands and then some of the stores that I have been part of working with in building the collection. And that little image on the bottom there, that's actually the American Idol collection, the capsule collection that we made. Now we're getting into the crux of the matter. This is why we're here. The 7 steps to creating wealth. Creating wealth through building brand equity. So I think in order to properly answer that, we have to first start by understanding what's a brand, and then I think we need to understand what's brand equity. So what's a brand? Well, it is a name, a design, a symbol, or some other feature that distinguishes a product in the eyes of the consumer. That's really what the brand is. That's what sets you apart. Now, let's take an example. So it says here, what makes a consumer willing to pay more for the same item? Well, the answer is brand and brand equity. This example, I think, is quite terrific. We're looking at what is technically a commodity product. It's a white T-shirt. The first item here, it's a 3-pack. It's Hanes. It's a brand, but it's clearly a value brand. You can get 3 of them for the retail price of $8.50. $8.50 buys you 3 Hanes T-shirts. Now, Nautica, not necessarily a high-flying brand, but definitely a brand. And as you can see, they have the ability to charge more. They're charging $19.50. That's for one. Next to it is Ralph Lauren. Now we're going kind of further up the brand food chain, addressing a different audience. And Ralph, depending on exactly the execution of their white tee, they're charging somewhere between $39.50 and $55 for their white T-shirts. And then the last image, it's a designer brand that you may or may not know, John Varvatos. He's very talented. He is so talented that he gets to charge anywhere from $98 to $148 for his T-shirts. That's the power of brand. Now, brand equity. What is that? Well, that is the value of your brand in the mind of the consumer. And it is a function of how you make them feel about your brand. So that's really critical. It's the value of your brand in the mind of the consumer. And it's a function of how you make them feel about your brand. So brand equity is what sets you apart. Brand is what sets you apart. Brand equity is actually the value that you create in your brand. And if you don't have a brand, I will argue that you are left to compete on price alone. And if you do that, you will very quickly find yourself in a death spiral race to the bottom, as there will always be someone willing to work on a lower price than you. So death spiral race to the bottom, does that sound attractive? I think not. So we want to avoid it. So for me, I have always felt that brand building and driving brand equity is one of the absolute fundamental pieces of building sound businesses. Not to take anything away from people that transact. If you have cash flow, it's great. But the brand equity, and we're going to get more into it, will allow you to build something lasting. Just transacting will just force you to trade your time for money, and you are, in essence, having to do it over and over and over again. So let's get into now, how do we get out of that, and how do we get to the promised land where we want to be? Step one in the process is one brand, one message. You have to have consistent brand messaging. So we say one vision, one mission, one brand. So we're going to start with the mission statement. It is what we do. It's your company's core purpose. Now, you want to focus on what's important. You want to identify core markets and how to serve them. And you want to communicate the corporate direction to all stakeholders. The mission statement very often inspires and guides your staff and others that are close to your company. Let's look at an example. So Google's mission statement, they say, to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. That's a great mission and easy to understand. Now let's go from mission to vision. So vision statement, that's what we aspire to be. It's an aspirational description of corporate objectives. Here's another example. To become the world's leading consumer company for automotive products and services. That's Ford. Again, Ford wants to become the world's leading consumer company for automotive products and services. That is very aspirational. The one thing I will caution you all about when you start working on your vision, please, please, please make it realistic. Because I'm sure you all heard, and I'm sure you all know, vision without execution, yeah, well, that's hallucination. So we don't want that. We don't want to be hallucinating. We want to be building healthy, profitable businesses. Now, core values, that's really what we stand for when nobody's looking, right? So that's your company's principles, beliefs, and or your philosophy. So here I thought, let's keep it, close to home. So these are celebrity lifestyle brands, kind of core values. Actually, I can drop the kind of. These are celebrity lifestyle brands' core values. Trust, faith, family, passion, respect, integrity, relationships, appreciation, transparency, accountability, and high standards. So we stand for a whole lot, but we have a lot to say and we have a lot to do. And we like to think that you can hold us to these values. My son went to an overpriced prep school, and they kind of had a shorter version. So they went with courage, honor, truth. Courage, honor, truth. So there are different ways of solving this, but the values of your company are important. So let's start looking at some of the most important aspects of brands. I like to focus on 3 core words. The first is authentic, the next is credible, and the last is aspirational. I think almost every successful brand is authentic, credible, and aspirational. The consumer has access to so much information now. They will immediately know if your brand is authentic. They will immediately know if your story is credible. So if you are, for instance, working with a celebrity, just as an example, is it credible in the mind of the consumer that this celebrity that may be famous for acting or singing, or an athlete that might be, world-renowned for how he or she can throw a ball or handle a ball, is it credible that they are designers? Maybe, maybe not. But if it's not credible, then you have to kind of have a way to take them. If you're working with them, you have to find a way to take them on a journey that will make it credible. Otherwise, your brand will fail. And lastly, we are, as human beings, aspirational. We aspire to be better. We aspire to conquer things. Successful brands are aspirational. So here are some power brands. These are names that you're all familiar with. And I have it here simply for one reason, to just remind all of you. I don't know what you're all doing. You probably, a lot of you are entrepreneurs. You're building your own businesses. And let's just grab the top left name here, Nike. You're all familiar with it. Well, Nike was founded by a college athlete and his coach. So the college athlete's name was Phil Knight. And Phil Knight has been the CEO, I think maybe he's now the chairman of Nike. But back in 1964, Phil Knight was a college athlete. He had a dream. He had a vision. He went out to execute. He solicited his coach. They did it together. And today, the market cap of Nike is $90 billion. It can be you. This is the point of the story. Another big brand that we all know, McDonald's. The guy that really got, world famous for McDonald's, he's not even named McDonald's. His name is Ray Kroc. And he was actually a milkshake mixer salesman. Milkshake mixer salesman. And one day he got an order for multiple milkshake mixers to the same address. He had never had that before. So he was curious. So he went to check it out. And he thought he saw something new, and it was all said and done. He ended up taking over control of McDonald's. And as we know, and as they say, the rest is history. McDonald's market cap is $132 billion. The guy started out as a milkshake mixer salesman. So anything is possible. Don't let anyone tell you that your dream is not possible. Now, we have to go to step 2 here, because we have 7 steps in order to get to the promised land. So this is concentrate and dominate. As my friend, Basketball Hall of Famer Walt Clyde Frazier says, people don't plan to fail. They just often fail to plan. This is a fact. And let's not be part of those people. So we need to analyze strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And by the way, that's called a SWOT analysis. And there are a lot of versions of it out there. And you, ladies and gentlemen, need to take your business through that to really understand where your opportunities lie. Because remember, hope is not the strategy. Starting out and hoping that it's going to work, that's not going to take you there. So now, in the competitive analysis, you want to look at what's your target audience, your consumer demographic, who are you trying to reach? What's your distribution? How are you getting stuff to market? Are you going online? Are you going through brick and mortar retail? It's a combination. How are you doing it? And then, of course, price positioning, critically important. Where are you in the pricing landscape? I always like to look at price in the context of good, better, best. And it does not matter. You can be at opening price points, mid-market, you can be high-end. But I always like within whatever I am offering, I don't like to go to market with only one price, because you just know there is always someone that's going to find something wrong with that one price. So I always like to go with good, better, best within wherever genre I am or price bracket I am. So I know this is not so easy to be interactive, but I'd like to ask you just as an example. So back when I ran Coogi, we created a brand called Coogi Luxe. Was kind of the halo to Coogi collection. And I want to ask, and I want you to type 1 for yes, 2 for no. Who thinks $498 is expensive for a pair of jeans? So again, if you think $498 is expensive for a pair of jeans, type 1. If you think $498 is not expensive, feel free to type 2.
1. I've seen like 100 ones fly in. I haven't seen any 2s, and I even see some people that put multiple ones.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, people. So let me tell you what we did. So I agree. We all agree. It is staggeringly expensive. But what we really wanted to do, we wanted to sell a $128 jean, which a lot of people may still argue is expensive. So what we did, we created Coogi Luxe. We arranged the showroom, and all our customers had to come to the showroom, and we arranged it so they had to walk through Coogi Luxe in order to get to Coogi. And we had a mannequin right next to the door as you walked into Coogi with this $498 jean on it. And we instructed every single salesperson to point out to the buyers as they were entering the Coogi room how this was a $498 jean. And each and every buyer swallowed hard, turned a little pale, and kept on walking. When we then got into the Coogee showroom and we showed them jeans that cost $128, they couldn't be happier, and we sold them all day long. So just one little example on how strategy can alter the impression of something. So in this step, I think the main takeaway is that if you want to have an authentic brand, it needs to be priced where it's credible to your consumers. One other small anecdote, and this is many years ago now and things have changed, but back in the day, I had the opportunity to work with Rihanna, and we were going to create a fabulous collection for her. However, when we got into things, what happened and what it turned out is that she had finally hit superstardom, and what's so interesting is that when all the artists finally can afford to buy whatever they want, they don't have to spend a dime, because all the leading brands want to give the stuff away because they want these A-list celebrities to wear their product. So her stylist was inundated with opportunity, and all of the product came from the leading designer stores and the leading designer brands. So then when it was time to work on her collection and find out, well, who is the audience? Well, she felt very strongly that her collection needed to sit in Neiman Marcus, Barney's, and Saks Fifth Avenue. The reality is that is not where her fans shop. She can afford to shop there. They cannot, and they don't shop there. And ultimately, because of that, it wasn't priced in a manner that was credible and authentic to her consumer, and we never brought that product to market. Let's go to step 3. Okay, brand the feeling, brand that feeling. These are the initial components to building a compelling brand. So this is where we talk about building your brand universe. So we're going to talk a little bit about brand DNA. We will get back to it on the next couple of slides. In addition, you have to have product design. I've already said, I'm going to say it repeatedly. Nothing sells product as well as product. You need to do everything else right, but you have to have the product. If you don't have your product right, there is no point. You may sell, the consumer once. You'll never sell them again. So fool them once. How does that go? Shame on you. Fooled me twice. Shame on me. So the consumer does not like to be fooled twice. If the product isn't right, it will not happen for you. Name, logo, packaging, label system, and then, of course, publish your brand Bible. And we will revisit some of the core and key items here. But product design, name, logo, label system, packaging, brand Bible, and it's all driven from your brand DNA. All right, so develop the brand DNA. Well, that is the intellectual and emotional drivers that create brand value for the consumers. So what you need to do, you need to examine your best qualities as perceived by the public, and you need to identify and address the optimal target audience. So one quick example here, I'd mentioned Coogee as an example earlier. I don't know that a lot of you would know what Coogee is, so where it came from. It became a very, very successful streetwear brand. It was actually originally kind of, I don't know, I'm going to be kind, funny looking sweater, multicolored, multi-patterned sweater, favored by Bill Cosby and Mike Ditka. But when we analyzed that and we want to say, okay, what's the brand DNA? We're going to make it, and we're going to take this brand, which was an aspirational brand. These were high-priced sweaters from Australia, and we're going to make it into a streetwear collection. What are some of the key criteria? Well, it was color, because they were colorful, and all these patterns was all about movement. So we kind of harvested, in that case, color and movement, and that permeated everything we did with the brand. So the other aspects of brand DNA, you need to identify and you need to be clear on what message does your brand portray. You need to think about and address what do you want people to think when they hear about your brand. And then, and this is absolutely critical, Your brand must make an emotional connection with the consumer. Again, I'm going to say that again. Your brand must make an emotional connection with your consumer. So here are some examples of emotive brands. It says emotions matter. So take the Coca-Cola company. Big company, right? Have a Coke and a smile that evokes a feeling. Coke adds life, it says. Well, that's pretty powerful. Or go to Hebrew National. They answer to a higher authority. That sounds inspirational. Hallmark, that's when you care enough to send the very best. That's pretty emotional too. Allstate, you're in good hands. And with AT&T, you're reaching out and touching someone. So emotions matter. Successful brands are emotive brands. You should think about that when you create your businesses and your brands. How do you make people feel? How does your brand make people feel? I'm going to give you a quick example. So this is Blendtec versus Smoothie Blend. And it's always interesting. I think I end up typically getting 50-50 on this. But I do think, and we haven't really done this in a sophisticated manner, but I think it's split fairly equally by gender. So Blendtec and Smoothie Blend went to market more or less the same time, and they're both blender companies. Blendtec is made by engineers, and it had the most powerful blending motor ever created. And they thought a great way of driving home that message to the audience out there was to chop up a cell phone. I think that's an iPhone going under the blades there. Smoothie Blend, on the other hand, said, we really want to just speak to our core demographic, our core audience. So their commercials featured happy, healthy moms in their Lululemon and workout clothes, typically in their brightly lit kitchen with healthy, wholesome looking children around. And at the end of the day, when it was all said and done, the reality is one of these companies is on the verge of going under or may have gone under. And the other one is actually seeing tremendous success. So let's again go quickly. I'm curious to see. Give me a 1 if you think Blendtec is on the verge of going under, and give me a 2 if you think Smoothie Blend is on the verge of going under. So a 1, Blendtec is going under. A 2, Smoothie Blend is going under. Who is it?
I see 1 1 1 2 1 1 1 2 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 2 1 1 1 1 2 2 1 1 1 1 2 2 2 2 2 1 1 1 1 2 2 2 1 1 1 1. They're coming in 1s and 2s. I think they're heavy on the 1s, Bernd, but
so
it could be.
Originally, the 1s had it. So okay, so the 1s are right. So what happened? So I think, blending up an iPhone, scrambling it up like that. Yeah, I think there are a bunch of guys that thinks that's pretty cool looking, and the engineers thought it was terrific. But at the end of the day, the healthy moms in the wholesome, brightly lit kitchen, drinking, smoothies, that kind of appealed to a much wider audience. And I think at the end of the day, when it comes to making the purchase decisions for this particular product, I think the target demographic on Smoothie Blend is more on point, and I think that's probably the decision maker. So again, Blendtec missed the mark. They went with the power and the engineering, and Smoothie Blend hit it spot on. The product is more or less identical. So that takes us to what's one of the big mountain. Like I say this all the time. It's a mantra, really. So it says here, your customer always remember how you make them feel, and it's so true. So they may forget what you say. They may even forget what you do. They will never, ever forget how you make them feel. And don't you forget that. Okay, so let's roll into our brand Bible. The first point in the brand Bible, the name of your brand, the name of your company, the name of your business. What's the name? What is in a name? So I would argue quite a bit. Make it clear. Make it easily accessible. Make it concise. Make it understandable. Don't overthink it. Examples, star branding. remember, stars will be brands. How about celebrity lifestyle brands? I don't think a lot of people are in doubt of what celebrity lifestyle brands does. But here's another example of the opposite. So I am sure, I'm not even going to ask, I'm sure almost everybody on this webinar have heard of Justin Timberlake. But I'm also almost equally sure that almost none of you have heard of a fashion brand called William Rast. Why? Because it's a classic example of overthinking it. So William Rast is Justin Timberlake's clothing collection. And he has a partner, and the William Rast name is made up of the middle name of each of their grandfathers. But nobody knows. So there is no visibility. So they're getting none of the benefits of the fame of a Justin Timberlake. And for that, the business is suffering. Another thing to think about with names is don't date yourself. Think long term. Yes, it might be cool or it might be relevant now, but think, will it still be relevant 2, 3, 5, 10 years from now? Great example. You've already heard that I spent a lot of time and saw great success at Fat Fashions and Fat Farm. Well, once upon a time, fat was one of the hippest, hottest street terms. It stands for pretty hot and tempting. So pretty hot and tempting, fat. But the reality is, by the time Fat Farm saw commercial success and hit Main Street, all those kids that once upon a time had said fat, they'd stopped saying it a long, long time ago. And to them, that was now kind of a past due, for lack of a better term, dorky saying. And for mainstream, when we brought Fat Farm to market and we wanted to introduce people to Fat Farm, half of the audience we were addressing was thinking that we were coming with a weight loss product. So what's in a name? Quite a bit. So think through, is your name classic? Will it withstand the test of time? We also have to, of course, work on logo variations, icons. For instance, if your logo, I'm just making it up, but if it's Navy, and if you're going to print on a Navy poster, is it still Navy? If you're going to have it on the Navy t-shirt, is your logo still Navy? These are some of the things that you cover in your brand Bible. How do you handle it? Typography, the guidelines. There are so many different fonts. There's so many different ways of saying it. Anything from writing it in a manner where it's, obscure, and some brands do that, and I never understand why. But again, you want to be consistent. You want to control how your brand name is perceived every single time. Same goes for color palettes, the graphic elements, the tone of voice, which is really kind of what your brand stands for, because we talked about already, it has to be consistent throughout. And then naturally, any type of image, you have to have positioning guidelines. How do you use it? In addition, we have to go from there, and we have to master the touch. So we have a brand Bible. We have gotten to this point. Now we need to figure out, how do we reach out and touch our consumer? This is maintaining consistency in how the consumers interact with our brand. So master the touch, step 4. So this is first and foremost, as I said, about brand consistency, but it's throughout every aspect of your brand. So it's physical, and physical means shop, showroom, but it's also your product, it's your logo, your signage, your letterheads, and of course your business card. So here's just one quick example. I wish you could see this because I'm kind of proud of it, but you're going to hear it instead. So listen carefully. Did you hear that? We're going to do it again. Sorry. Oi. Well, what is that? That's my fancy metal business card from Celebrity Lifestyle Brands. So that's one way of standing out from the crowd. It sets us apart. whenever Greg and I hand out our cards, people always pause. And they always like, wow, that's kind of, it says something. It says something about us. It says something about our business. And the fact that we're giving out this card that's cost us, I don't know, $10.50 a pop. No, it doesn't cost $10.50. But the fact that we're giving this out, it says that we value you. We're giving you our card, and it's a valuable card. Other examples just here when you reach out and touch your audience. I want to give a couple of other quick examples. So for instance, product, going back to Russell Simmons, not to beat up on Russell. Russell did a lot of great stuff. And this is one good example. So early on in my tenure there, we got an order. Someone came to us and said they wanted to buy 100,000 Phat Farm hockey jerseys. So those jerseys at the time, we would probably selling them, I want to say between $30 and $40 a jersey. So that was a pretty healthy order. And I think anyone could have used that money. However, Phat Farm was really a brand with a vision that was called Classic with a Twist. The brand was Classic with a Twist. And Russell said, hockey jerseys, it's just not on brand. And he passed on the order. And as we will revisit a little later in the presentation, he got richly rewarded for it down the line. The other thing I want to just say while at product here, it's easy to kind of fall in love with your own product. Please, please, please don't do that. At the very moment when you sit back and kind of sort of put your feet up a little bit, it's kind of feeling like the rival, you have the formula, you know what's going on. Well, that to me, it's day one of the end. It's the beginning to the end. So please, obsolete your product before your customer does it for you. You always want to obsolete your product before the customer does it for you. Anyway, moving right along, going now still to consumer touch point, but moving into the digital world instead. So again, you have to maintain brand consistency. We were talking in the physical world, but you also have to do it for digital, which is website, your e-commerce, and your app. Again, it is so important that the consumer has the same experience with your brand through every single consumer touch point, every single aspect of your business. Social media is critical. It is probably at this point the singular biggest assets of any celebrity out there. At this point, when you are really evaluating opportunities for celebrities, influencers, athletes, one of the first things you do is you go to their social media and you evaluate their social media following. And again, how their personal brand is portrayed on social media would really ultimately dictate whether or not they will be able to have a successful branded business. So you have to maintain brand consistency throughout, and that also means your staff, and that's the way they answer the phone, the way they interact with the customers. And they are all brand ambassadors, and every brand ambassador out there is a reflection of you and your brand and your business. So again, you want that consistency, you want that experience. Stop and think for a second. If you go into, for instance, you visit the McDonald's, a very, very similar consumer experience wherever you go, because they are going for brand consistency throughout. Their staff wear uniforms. The stores are branded in a certain manner. The menu is the same. There's consistency. And of course, at the end of the day, you and you and you, it starts at the very top. You set the tone. You set the tone for how your business or how your brand is treated. And of course, you are more than anyone else a reflection of your business or your brand. So you need to be on brand as well, because you represent your brand always. Okay, step 5, people. Stay with me here. We're going to innovate and we're going to communicate. So innovate and communicate. So this is about leveraging the brand DNA. Remember we talked about that? You're leveraging your brand DNA to capture the attention and stay in the consumer's minds. All right. So, little goofy. If you build it, they will come. And then, really? So we will say, no, they won't. That may have been once upon a time, but you build it now. It's kind of like you build it and you don't do anything else. It's kind of like the tree that fell in the woods. Did it actually make a sound, right? So, no, you have to communicate. And you have to communicate across all channels. There is no way around it. This is not about one singular effort. This is about a singular strategy across multi channels. This is omni-channel approach to getting your branded message across. So video, and of course there is now software out there where you can easily and seamlessly make a video shoppable. One click and you can check out. And a lot of attention is on video and movement as the consumer's attention span is shortening. Viral campaigns, we touched on social media, absolutely critical. And of course, I assume that most of you know how to utilize social media, but there are also blogs, editorials, and of course, paid or targeted ad campaigns, Facebook, Google AdWords, etc. So again, you have to apply all of these resources and more when you are communicating and you are trying to interact with your audience and with your consumers. It's a noisy market. We are now all inundated with information. Most people we know are on system overload. So again, this is all of the above. Not one, not two. It will not be enough. I'm going to give you just also like a one school example or rather an old school example on how you also need to be buttoned up and ready. So yes, you have to take an omni-channel approach. You have to communicate across all kind of channels of communication. But please make sure that you are ready, because here's an example of a company that wasn't. Many years ago, I actually founded Scandinavia's first home delivery of pizza. Pizza Pronto. I launched Pizza Pronto in Copenhagen, Denmark in the early 80s. And I'm dating myself, but it's okay. And I was a Norwegian living in Denmark. I was launching pizza, which was perceived as an Italian product. So the absolutely biggest business paper in the country thought that that was a terrific story, and they decided to feature me and the company on the front page of their business section in their weekend paper. So there were pictures, there was a story, and it was a huge picture of one of our pizza delivery trucks. That's one out of two, mind you. And of course, having studied marketing, my pizza truck had the phone number of Pizza Pronto emblazoned very, very large on the side of the truck. So every single reader of that weekend paper saw the phone number. And of course, the next thing that happened was that the phone started ringing off the hook. Shortly, and quite frankly, before our opening hours, our phone system had shut down from system overload. I managed to get hold of the phone company, and they gave me emergency lines, and we got back up. I got some pizza trucks out on the road, but it was so busy. One of them overheated and shut down, and we never got it back into circulation. And when it was all said and done, we ended up delivering soggy pizza approximately 3 hours after people had originally called for their pizza. So, as you all know, and I'm sure you all have heard, you only get one chance of making a first impression, so you might as well make it a good one. And in our case, in Pizza Pronto's case, we made a first impression, all right. It wasn't the right one, and it was very, very tough to kind of ever really overcome the launch that we had. So make sure you are ready. critically important. Ready, ready, ready. Now, here is someone that was ready. This is a great story. I love this story. This is about innovation and creativity, and also maybe some guts and glory. So what you're seeing here is an actual billboard. This is going back many years before some of the communication vehicles that we have today. So this is a billboard in Times Square in New York. And what this is called is a hangman's ad. And as you can see, these are, it says here, the 4 great American designers for men. And I think most people can figure out that the R and the L, that was Ralph Lauren. Many may not know that the P and the E, that's Perry Ellis, but back then, Perry Ellis was a huge brand, and the consumers knew, believe me. The C and the K, do I hear Calvin Klein? Very good, very good. Now that leaves TH, and nobody knew what TH was. That was how Tommy Hilfiger went to market. That was the Tommy Hilfiger launch. It was bold. It created a ton of curiosity. It created news article. It created buzz. And of course, it also created a kind of peed off, Ralph and Calvin. But be that as it may, by proximity, Tommy Hilfiger overnight became one of the 4 great American designers. Very clever. So I'm not saying take out the billboard in Times Square. I'm saying come up with your version of the billboard in Times Square. What's your billboard for your business? What can you do that's different, innovative, and creative that will allow your business to stand out, that will set your business apart? And here is someone that really knew how to do that. So this is Daymond John. Again, the people's shark. But way back when, he wasn't the people's shark. He was an entrepreneur. He was someone with a great idea and not a whole lot of money in his pocket. And he said a couple of things. That was his second to last book, Power of Broke. He has a new book out right now, Rise and Grind, which I think is already hitting and rising on the New York bestseller list. But what Daymond said, and by the way, he said, in Power of Broke, he said, if he had $1 million in his pocket at the time, he said they made a lot of mistakes starting out as young entrepreneurs, so they would most likely have made $1 million mistake. They didn't have $1 million, they didn't make $1 million mistake. So that's good to know. But here's going back to being innovative and creative. So because they didn't have a lot of money, they were thinking, how can we get our brand out there and get it better known? And they grew up in Hollis, Queens. And in Queens at night, all the storefronts, they have these metal gates that they pull down for security. And Daymond and his partners had noticed that they had been there for years. They were grimy and dirty and all of that. And they came up with a very clever idea to offer to the store owners, they would clean them and paint them in return for being able to put the FUBU logo on the gate. And most store owners figured, I get my gate maintained free of charge, and I'm not there, and my store is closed. What do I care? It has a FUBU logo on it. So at night, back then, the FUBU logo was emblazoned on, almost every single storefront all over Queens. So again, very innovative. But ultimately, when the FUBU brand really launched, I would say there were a couple of very clever and simple methods that propelled the brand to the next level. So one would be, it says trade show. So all the big apparel brands used to go to a trade show called Magic in Las Vegas, and a lot of people still go. And so at this point, FUBU had just partnered with an apparel family out of New York, the Weisfelds. They had been in business for a long time, originally had a successful outerwear company, and they were now partnering with Daymond and his partners to help take the brand to the next level. So they're ready to go to the trade show, and Bruce, there were 2 brothers, Bruce and Norman, the Weisfeld brothers, that kind of ran the day-to-day, that portion of the business. So they called now older salesmen. I think they had 6 outerwear salesmen. And they said, we have a new brand called FUBU. And Bruce would say to the salesman, first salesman, I want you to invite every single one of your buyers to the first day at 9 o'clock at the show. And, the salesman would go, but Bruce, I can't service all of my buyers. I have, hundreds of buyers. And Bruce would say in his classic style, do I pay you to think? Just do as I say. Okay. So the guy did, and Bruce repeated the conversation with the remaining 5 salesmen. When the show opened, there was one booth that was absolutely mobbed with people. And as you know, fear is a pretty strong motivator. So every single buyer that walked into that trade show that was not outside the FUBU booth or hadn't received a call to come at 9 o'clock, saying, oh my goodness, what's going on over there? Are they giving out free stuff? I mean, something is going on. They all gravitated over. They all had to find out. And they learned that, yes, this was the launch of FUBU. And that was one very, very significant way that FUBU kind of launched with the trade, with all of the retailers. But what really, really cemented FUBU in the mind of the consumer with the kids out there, well, that was a $30 million Gap commercial. Yes, you heard correctly. You heard correctly. So this is FUBU, but I'm saying a Gap commercial. So let me explain. So FUBU had, or Damon had, reached out to LL Cool J. They were from the same neighborhood. LL at the time was already a highly successful rapper at the time. And LL Cool J had agreed to become a spokesperson, brand ambassador, and had some equity in return. And he was then approached by Gap. And Gap was falling kind of a harder times. They didn't feel as relevant with the youth. And they were asking if LL Cool J could make a rap for them to kind of make them seem cool again with the youth. We're going to play that commercial for you. What I want you to focus on is two things. Number one, LL Cool J said to Gap, you guys don't have caps, do you? They didn't. He knew. And he said, I always wear caps. Is it okay if I bring my own? They said, fine. I want to ask you to, while you look this, please, while you watch it, please look and see if you can see FB on the cap. Look for FB on the cap. And then FUBU, it's an acronym. It stands for Us, By Us. For Us, By Us. I want you to listen and see if you can hear For Us, By Us as we play this for you. So, Greg, I think you will play it.
I know you like your outfit stylish. Any other line but the Gap is childish. Everybody working as a personal stylist. You're falling once you hear the Gap calling. You can't resist the shopping, big ballin', not stopping, yes, y'allin'. Jeans popping in every mall in town and city. GAP, gritty, ready to go. For us, by us, on the low. G, that's for getting the A for always. P, that's for power and the people that praise. Backwards, P for popular, A for attitude. G, get it going, daddy, Gap is on the move. How easy is this? Fall into the Gap.
That was pretty impressive.
Yes.
So that people, that was a $30 million Gap commercial, and LL Cool J was wearing the FB cap, and right in the middle of the rap, he said, For Us, By Us, on the low. And quite frankly, on the low, that's even, that means on the down low. That means don't tell all those other guys, they don't even know what I'm saying right now. Having said that, it ended up working out all the way around because all the kids out there thought that this meant that FUBU could be found in Gap. So they all went out and visited the Gap stores anyway. So it was a win for Gap, and it absolutely propelled FUBU to superstardom. So that's what innovation can do and being opportunistic. So as we say...
so go ahead and go past that. So there you go.
As we say...
Bernd, real quick, I'm going to interrupt you, Bernd, because I asked people to put fives in. I literally have hundreds of fives, and some people put 5 by 5, and one person even put not 5 but a 10. So everyone's loving the content, man.
That's nice to hear. So just to round out this step here, that says the price goes to the innovative, and I want to take it maybe one step further. So at this particular day and age, where the market is so competitive, where there is so much information, where people are getting bombarded, It's a little cliche. It is true. Innovate or die. Again, innovate or die. A little dire, but I honestly believe it. So we are going to step 6, covering your assets. So this is ensuring that your intellectual property is legally protected. Pretty critical. So cover your assets. So here, there are trademarks. There are something called design marks. There are copyrights, and there are patents. They're all not the same, and you don't necessarily need to do all of them. But a couple of quick comments. Number one, filing for a trademark is relatively inexpensive. It should cost you around $275 to actually pay for a trademark. That's what the USPTO, the U.S. Patent Office, charges. And then typically, more often than not, people use a lawyer, and they will charge a little bit to file it for you. But I hear a lot of different prices, and if your lawyer is telling you it's going to cost $1,000 to file a trademark, forgive me, everyone that's looking or listening, if this is offensive, but I'm going to say it anyway. If your lawyer says it's $1,000 or more, he's full of shit. So that's just not true. $275 to file for a trademark. Now, I want to say, okay, what should you file for? So if it's your company name, but it's not really going to be in the public, you're not going to trade on your name, you don't necessarily need to trademark your company name. What you absolutely 100% unequivocally must trademark is your brand name. Because if you're going to spend time and effort and take your brand to market, and you're going to spend money, blood, sweat, and tears building a business, the last thing you want to happen is that 3 years down the road, someone comes and say, oh, not so fast. We own that name. Here's a cease and desist. And you need to pull back, and you have to get off market. I mean, it's a disaster. And that is what can happen if you don't file your trademark. Sometimes, just very quickly, you think you've come up with the most remarkable name, but it turns out there are other people with variations of similar names. And they may be able to block you. So very quickly, let me also tell you. So the standard for whether or not a trademark is in conflict with another mark is really simply, is it perceived or can it be seen as being confusingly similar in the mind of the consumer? So can it be seen as being confusingly similar in the mind of the consumer? If the answer is yes, you're not going to get the mark. There are certain ways around that, and that's where the design mark comes in. So, and we often differ between word mark and design mark. So the word mark is just spelling out the name. So you have a name, and of course, if it's like a personal name, it's less likely that you have a problem. If you're filing for Greg Ryder, you're probably going to get Greg Ryder. But if you want to go to market with a brand called Super Cool, making it up, I am 99.9% certain that you will not be granted that trademark. You can't claim super, you can't claim cool, and there are going to be a million marks out there that has super or cool in their names already. But what you can do, it will still be a weak mark, but you can set the mark apart by creating what's called a design mark. That means it can only be featured with a certain font, so it's always written in a certain way. Maybe it's always sitting in a box. It always has, navy and pink or other colors around it. That's a design mark. So copyrights and patents is a little different. It's not necessarily what you would do to protect the brand. Copyrights are more intellectual property, book, literature, film. Patents are interesting. What I have found when it comes to patents, people always ask, oh, is it patented? Is it patented? It's good to have a patent. However, patents are typically very narrow. So very often, yes, you may have a patent, but then someone else can come up with just a variation on your patent. It's a slightly different way of doing something. It gets you to the same result. They may still, too, be granted the patent. So a patent may not necessarily set you free in terms of, protecting you. That's not to say that you shouldn't file for a patent. If you have something that's unique, you should absolutely file for a patent. You should just be aware, and maybe you end up having to file for a couple of different patents that protects variations of your invention, your creation, your technique, the brand that you have created. Now, we have a quick example here, so I just want to share this with you. So this is going back to my J.Lo and Jennifer Lopez days. So, and we're talking about trademarks. And this was actually before my time, but Jennifer, or it was J.Lo at the time, wanted to go to market, and they had decided they were partnering with Coty, which is a huge fragrance house, and they were launching the first fragrance, and they decided it was going to be called Glow. So it was Glow by Jennifer Lopez or Glow by J.Lo. However, a small company had filed for a trademark. The company was called Glow Industries. And because they were planning to sell some Glow products, so they were going to do it kind of under name, they filed a trademark for their actually company name. They hadn't even been granted the name yet. They just had the application in. They sent a cease and desist. Coty is big. J.Lo was big. And they decided they were not going to relent. This is what they had decided to do. They had created, all the collateral material. They loved the name. They loved what they were doing. They were not backing down, and they tried to go to market. And as you can see, it says here, below the picture of Jennifer, Glow Industries, Inc. versus Jennifer Lopez. It became a case back in August 2002. Well, I happen to know it took a year. But in 2003, as you can see, Glow Industries settles the trademark suit with Jennifer Lopez. So Coty and Jennifer ended up having to pay millions of dollars to Glow Industries for having violated their trademark, which hadn't even been issued yet. And they lost over a year in the planning and bringing their product to market. So that's just showing how important it is that you protect your assets. Now, step 7, people, we're getting there. This is pedal to the metal. This is building brand equity through brand experiences and acceleration. You remember we talked about brand and brand equity? Well, here we go. We're going to start with the 5 stages. So these are just simply 5 stages that lead to positive brand equity. They're really just 5 interactions with the brand. How does it go? Well, you've been out there, you've been doing your work, and by the way, you're now ready to see, overnight success that's been probably 7 to 10 years in the making. I always think that's so funny. People always say, oh my goodness, they saw overnight success. Like every single overnight success I ever saw was at least 5 years in the making. So yes, so now you're ready to blow up. The first thing is brand awareness. The consumer is aware that you exist. Well, then brand recognition. They're starting to actually recognize your brand. You've done a good job. So they're not only aware, they can recognize your brand. Well, since they can recognize it, you're now on the radar. They're going to try it. They're trying your brand. You did a good job. As we said, nothing sells product as well as product, remember? So you did a good job. So they tried it and they like it. Now you're creating brand preference. And from brand preference comes brand loyalty. And that means if you have taken the consumer from brand awareness, a little journey that ends with brand loyalty, you have succeeded. You have a brand and you have succeeded in building brand equity. So, and again, a lot of that has to do with the product itself. But of course, all the other stages that we have covered, the consistency, the execution, it's all part of taking you to this step. So as a reminder, what is brand equity again? It is that intangible asset that gives a brand an incremental value in the mind of the consumer. So incremental value in the mind of the consumer. So it's created through the proper implementation of the branding process. That's how you get to brand equity. And I'm going to drive home why brand equity is important. But first, just a quick little quiz. So here's the quiz. Which one of these 4 boxes comes with a premium price thanks to brand equity? So, and we're going to just go by the numbers. Here's the quiz. So does the green box get to charge more because of its brand equity? Gets this other box, and I'm going to call it lavender. Does the lavender box get to charge a premium price because of brand equity? Is it the purple box that get to charge a lot because of brand equity? Or is it the turquoise box that get to charge a premium price because of brand equity? If you think it's the green one, give me a 1, lavender 2, purple 3, and turquoise 4. Let's go. Let's see.
And if you don't know, say I don't know. DK.
Okay.
Okay, so I see a 4, I see a 2, I see a 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 1, no idea. All of them. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 2, 2, 1, 4, no idea. DK, DK, 4, 4, 4. Okay, see, they're still coming in. There's so many people. It's awesome. But
So that's funny. So that sounds like the 4 has it, but not, resoundingly. So I'll tell you, it is 4. So that is Tiffany. And some of you may know Tiffany, but maybe there's a little more of a kind of New York tri-state phenomenon. But Tiffany is huge here for sure. And it's a high-end jewelry company. And I'm willing to bet you if we just did this with just all the women on this webinar, we would have more 4s. So it's a high-end jewelry company. And they have done such a great job in branding themselves that turquoise box is synonymous with luxury, high-end, and because of that their brand equity is allowing them to charge more money, and it's a very, very, very successful business, and they've done a great job. So it's simply a box, and every woman out there can take one look at that turquoise box, and they know that that's a premium brand. So I want to talk about strong brand equity. And while this popped up first, we're going to do it in the order here. So why do I love brand equity? What's so important about it? Number one, it delivers predictable revenue streams. Secondly, it will drive cash flow, increase cash flow, market share. You get premium pricing, you get premium margin. Because your brand is well known, you don't have to invest as much in marketing. There are just a lot of great things that come from having strong brand equity. And lastly, maybe the most powerful, if you have built that strong brand equity, the asset can be sold or licensed. And now I want to go to that headline. So it's from the New York Times, and it says, Fat Fashions, remember, that was Russell Simmons' brand, is being sold to Kelwood for $140 million. That's kind of amazing because, again, Russell Simmons, and he's a great guy. He's a talented guy. I'm not saying that we all are equally talented. But then again, we don't have to do everything he did because first he created a brand in the music space. And then he sold it. He sold Def Jam, which is the brand he created, for $100 million. $100 million. One guy loved music. His brother was a performer in the space. Rev Run from Run DMC. And then once he sold, he said, you know what? This music, it's more than just music. It's a lifestyle. I'm going to create a lifestyle brand. I'm going to create Fat Farm. And the company name, as I said, was Fat Fashions. And he sold again. He did it twice in a separate industry. And now he sold for $140 million. I was there, as you know. I joined Kelwood to make the acquisition. So I was there when we did it. And I know that Kelwood, when they acquired Fat Fashions, had to put $140 million on their balance sheet in what's called goodwill. That was the value of the brand. So this man had an idea, had a vision, created a company, and instead of just doing business, he created a brand. And that brand, in addition to everything he did in selling product, collecting money from sales, he sold the name of the brand, the IP, the intellectual property, for $140 million. That's the power of brand. That's what brand equity will do for you. So as it said, it can be sold or it can be licensed. And we're going to talk more about that as well. But before I really, I want to dwell on this one more second, because to me, this is the crux of the matter. Brand equity equals wealth creation. And if you don't have a strong brand, it is so much harder to create wealth. You're in essence, and it's, forgive the comparison, but if you don't have a brand, and as we said, you're faced with that, death spiral race to the bottom, and you're just competing on price, you kind of know different. And again, forgive me, I know it's different, but it's not that different. It's kind of like the guys that are doing, these deals on the street corner. It's kind of, do you have the stuff? Yeah. Do you have the cash? Yeah. Okay. And then transaction happens. You get the stuff, they get the cash, and you scurry off and hope that the cops didn't see you. Well, now what? Well, now you need to get more stuff, and you need to do it all over again and do another transaction. You're not building anything lasting. You're not building anything for the future. You're just transacting. You're trading an item for cash. That's it. You're not creating anything. So the power of the brand is that you're creating something lasting. And as I said, in the process, you get to charge higher prices. You get to charge higher margin. You get more reliable, revenue streams. And then, as I said, the end result is you can sell or you can license, and we're going to talk more about that. But that's really the power. Now, at the very bottom, and this is critical, it says the brand equity can be enhanced. So it's possible you did all of this, and you can put it on steroids. So let's do that. These are some of the brands that have put it on steroids. Look at these market caps. And almost every single one of them started with one person with a vision or a dream. I don't care if it's Mark Zuckerberg or Walt Disney. I mean, look at what these people have created. Jeff Bezos is, I think, the wealthiest man in the world now. Amazon. So these were all people. They had the dream. They had the vision. So what I want to tell you is, don't ever, ever, ever let anyone tell you that something is not possible. If you can think it, if you can dream it, you can do it. So that's what this slide is all about. It is just a quick reminder. Now let's get into putting brand equity on steroids. So the first way you can do it is with celebrity endorsements, right? So you have your brand, you built it, but now we talked about social media, we talked about social media following, and boom, if you target the right celebrity influencer, it can have tremendous value for your brand. You need to structure the optimal deal, naturally. And then what do? You turn around and you leverage their fan base and social media following to benefit your brand. So, for instance, the young lady on the side here, next to all the verbiage, that's Gigi Hadid. I think Gigi might now be, I don't know, I haven't looked, maybe she's 21 now. Gigi Hadid has a partnership with Tommy Hilfiger. She's wearing Tommy. Actually, this is the Gigi/Tommy collection. Tommy Hilfiger, iconic menswear designer, not necessarily ever iconic when it came to women's wear. But he is a brilliant, absolutely brilliant visionary and entrepreneur and business leader. And without going too far into his story, he too is a phenomenal story. 1 out of 9 kids starting out from upstate New York. That company now is seeing sales of around $7.5 billion annually. But the women's business could do better. What did Tommy do? He reached out and he tapped Gigi Hadid, who has massive social media following. And as I said, she's barely 20 years old. And while not going in total detail, that transaction, Gigi collected millions and upon millions of dollars to do the deal. They wrote a very, very hefty check to this young lady. And lo and behold, she put Tommy Hilfiger, ladies or women's, on absolute steroids. The business has blown up. It is probably one of the best investments they've ever made, because now they're tapping into a whole new consumer audience. The brand is incredibly relevant and hot after all those years, and in an otherwise challenging time for large brick and mortar brands, the Tommy Hilfiger brand is flying. So this also leads to this kind of social media conversation that we're talking about. Leads me to a point that I want to make, and one of the reasons why I'm so enthusiastic about the partnership with Greg and the rest of the Celebrity Lifestyle brand team. So I told you earlier that we started Star Branding in 2009. And back then, there wasn't really a lot of focus or conversation about social media. And every single transaction we did, and as you know, we did some massive transaction, including the largest celebrity deal ever done, but they were all brick and mortar transactions. And the reality is the narrative out there has now shifted dramatically. Back then, when we did those transactions, if you wanted to bring a brand to market, you had to go through the large national retailers. And if the large national retailers did not pick up your brand, you were done. You did not get to market. Now, of course, the power has shifted, and it's never, ever shifting back. It has shifted from the large national retailers to us, the consumers, and we're not giving it up. So direct to consumer is the road forward. I'm not saying that brick and mortar is going away, but the reality is all of the big brick and mortar stores are busy doing what they call right sizing. And that means that they're figuring out how many stores they're closing and how many people they're letting go because they're currently not competitive. And they're doing all of this while they half-heartedly use the word omnichannel repeatedly, trying to sound like they're relevant also in the digital space. But they're not really yet. And that leads back to why I'm excited about Celebrity Lifestyle brand. Because in my mind, Celebrity Lifestyle brand is really Star Branding 2.0. This is the next generation because we are built to take celebrities and influencers and help them monetize their social media following. So we are helping them unlocking an asset. That social media following is an asset. Most of them do not know, most of the celebrities do not know yet how to monetize it. And we at Celebrity Lifestyle Brands, we can help them create brands and collections that they can now take to their target audience, to their follower. And you know, it's kind of unbelievable. Back in the day, we used to spend, honestly, millions of dollars trying to analyze what the consumer might do next. So we would be poring over data. We would analyze ad nauseum, trying to predict what they might be doing going forward. It's kind of sort of like driving a car full speed forward while looking in the rearview mirror. Now, we have the information right at our fingertips. The consumer is right there telling us. They're saying, I love Gigi Hadid. I care about Gigi. Whatever Gigi is doing, I'm following Gigi. So it's right there. As I said, it's a massive asset. And we, Celebrity Lifestyle Brand, we are helping all the influencers and celebrities unlocking this asset. So that's exciting, and it's a great opportunity for us, and it's a great opportunity for them. Now, we are talking about how to put the brand equity on steroids. So this was celebrity endorsements. Licensing. I love licensing. What is it? Well, it is strategic brand extensions where you, a company, grant another company the rights to your brand name. So they rent your name. So they take the products that they're making and they rent your name and they put your name on the product and bring it to market, and they pay rent. So that rent is called a royalty. So licensing is strategic brand extensions where you grant another company the right to manufacture their products under your brand, and then they pay you a fee. So why do I love this so much? I love it so much because there's not one single company out there that can be best in class across all products. It's not possible. So what you do now is you've done all this hard work. You have managed to build a brand. You have built a name for yourself. Now you get to tap a best-in-class operator within another product category, and you're signing a product license. And they now become a second engine. They come on board and they start marketing to their audience who now becomes familiar with your brand. And then you get to do it all over again. When you build a big product licensing universe, you can expand. So let's say you built this in your local territory. Now you can take it to the next state or the next state. Or if you're thinking bigger, if you launch this in the US, you can take it international and build a global brand. So in essence, if, for instance, you sell apparel, add other items. Going back to Phat Farm, it was primarily sportswear. Here's a Phat t-shirt. Well, what did we do? We did a fragrance deal. We had Phat fashion bags. We had footwear. We signed all these licensees. And I can tell you, when I came in and took over the business, Phat Fashion was actually losing a couple of $1 million. And they really had a very hard time, for lack of a better term, getting out of their own way, because Kelwood at the time was first and foremost a moderate women's apparel maker. That was their claim to fame. They had huge brands. They were very successful, but Phat Fashion's Phat Farm was something different. This was streetwear. It was menswear. It was streetwear, smaller orders, higher prices, higher margins. Very difficult for a company like Kelwood to execute. Culturally, we were different. Ultimately, I switched the operating model out of wholesale and into licensing. And overnight, we became instantly profitable. We went from losing a couple of $1 million a year to driving royalty income between $40 and $50 million annually. So some of the advantages with licensing, it's fast. It's obviously cost effective because you're using someone else's company, someone else's time to build your business. And naturally it's profitable because the royalty fee that they pay you drops really directly to the bottom line. You have almost no overhead involved. You probably have a brand manager or something like that, one person that keeps an eye out because you do want to watch the licensees. But as I said, you now get to expand your brand universe on the back of other best-in-class operators within all these other product categories. Now, there are a couple of pitfalls, so there are certain things that you want to consider. You want to, because again, it's your business, it's your brand, so you want to be protective. You don't want a licensee to come in and take advantage. So you want to oversee and approve, so product design and quality. You want to have an approval process. You don't want to just be able to run rampant and bring product to market that you don't agree with or is not consistent with the type of product or the level of product that you normally proceed. That also goes for channels of distribution. If you are in a certain tier and you spent all your time and you built your brand there, the last thing you want to do is to see one of your licensee come in and undercut you and place their product category and your brand name, in the lower channel of distribution. And similarly, of course, you want to control the price points and the discounts because, again, this is about the consistency in the brand experience. The consumer does not care that you are licensed. To them, it's one brand. And whether they're experiencing your brand in one category, another category, multiple categories, they don't care. They're looking for one seamless consumer experience. And whether the products were made in Taiwan or next door, they want to have the same experience, and that's part of what you have to watch out for when you do the licensing, because when you do it right, it's tremendously accretive to your business. You get to leverage your brand equity, and you get to take it completely to the next level. But as I said, you have to be smart and mindful of how just to protect that consistency in the brand messaging. Now, I thought very quickly, I don't want to dwell on this. I really honestly think licensing is so big. I feel that's a whole course unto itself. Right here, I just want to give a couple of very quick examples of what some of the terms mean. So term sheets, and if any one of you want to do a deeper dive, send a message in to Greg, and maybe we can organize and build something around licensing. For now, I'm going to go relatively fast, but this is very valuable. So term sheet is just the document where you put down all the terms that you agree to before you start drafting the licensing agreement. The licensee is what you call the company that comes in and rent the brand from you. So they become your licensee. Conversely, and by the way, let's stop that there for a second. let's say there are people out there, I told you, if you don't really have a brand name, you're in a tougher spot. Let's say you have a business and you're great at doing what you're doing, but you don't feel you have a strong brand name. Maybe an option for you is to obtain a license. So you become a licensee. You find someone within, or with a brand name that resonates within the world of the type of product that you're making. And you might want to become a licensee. You have to pay a royalty, but that fee may be a small price to pay to be able to mark up your goods properly and have a built-in audience. But anyway, a licensee is the person that takes a license, and the one that owns the brand is licensor. And then the license marks, that's just the trademarks that you are obtaining through licensing. So when I signed all those deals for Fat Fashions, for instance, Fat Farm was a licensed mark and Baby Fat was a licensed mark for men and women respectively. The territory is where they're allowed to sell. Typically, if it's in the U.S., we often say U.S. its territories and possessions. Other agreements often say North America. That includes Canada and Mexico. License channels of distribution, that's where the licensee is allowed to place the product. Again, we talked about you want to control that so it's consistent, so all the products across all categories are living in kind of the same world at the same distribution level. Continuing, you have the royalty rate. That's the rent that the licensee is paying. These vary a little bit, and it depends a little bit on whether it's based upon wholesale or retail. So I would say wholesale royalties are probably anywhere now between 5 to 8% is probably the most common. I have to say, I think I see a lot of wholesale deals these days being done at 7% royalty. So that 7% of the net sales of the licensee is the fee that they pay to the licensor. If it's based on retail, I would say the most common rate I see now, it's maybe 2.5%, 3%. When we did the deal for Jennifer Lopez with Kohl's, we had 4%. So that was very healthy, as you can imagine. Advertising payment, if you have a brand, you want to continue to build that up, it's not uncommon that you have all of the licensees contribute towards kind of an overall world of brand messaging. So the brand goes out there and do overall brand positioning, and you can ask the licensees to contribute. Guaranteed minimum net sales, that's the lowest number that these licensees are guaranteeing that they're going to sell for you. And conversely, guaranteed minimum royalties, that's strictly math. So if you were at 7%, your guaranteed minimum royalty is the 7% in that case of whatever the guaranteed minimum net sales number is. This is one of the reasons why I like licensing so much. So now you have actually these contracts, and let's say you go out and you sign 10 licenses. Now you have a floor to your revenue stream. You have guarantees. You have legally binding contracts that evidence year by year the very least you're going to take in royalties. It's terrific, and it instantly drives up the value of your business. So advance, another word for that is skin in the game. Typically, all licensors ask licensees to pay in advance. The advance is very commonly anywhere between 25% to 50% of the first year's royalty. And by the way, very often the first year is actually 18 months. And that's done because it allows the licensee to ramp up. We're saying 6 months to kind of design and develop the product, and then 1 year to sell. And then, as I said, the advance, anywhere from 25% to 50% of that first year minimum guaranteed royalty. Now, advances, so the licensor gets a check up front. That's very attractive. Most advances are recoupable. So for the licensee, it's really more of a cash flow issue. Yes, you're cutting a check. That's why I'm saying it's your skin in the game. But you actually get it back once you start working. So once you start selling and it's time for you to pay a royalty, you get to take the advance payments off the top before you start paying any further. Initial term, very often I see 3 to 5 years. That's just the first kind of duration or time period that you get to sell the product. I would say most licensees, and maybe two diverging thoughts, if they're nervous, they don't want to really be locked into a very long contract. But on the other hand, if you have only a short-term contract, here you're going to build someone else's brand name. If it's too short, you may be hesitant to spend the necessary time and resources to really build a successful business, because you only have a short-term license and then it goes back to the licensor, which is one of the advantages of licensing to the licensor. They get to enhance and build out their business on someone else's dime. So, but typically 3 to 5 years allows the licensee to recoup that investment, and it works out well for them as well. Renewal is just, okay, if you go outside of the 3 to 5 years, more often than not, these agreements have a couple of renewal terms, and renewal thresholds is just some pre-agreed upon number that you have to hit in order to renew. So making it up, but let's say you have to hit accumulated sales of 30 million. And if you did, you automatically get to renew and continue the business. And if you didn't, it becomes a negotiation. So we have talked about putting your brand on steroids and your brand equity on steroids. And we talked about celebrities, and we talked about licensing. And here's another really powerful tool, board of advisors. So board of advisors, that's great. So board of advisors, they have non-binding strategic advisors. The people that you want on board are typically people with significant networks, and they can kind of leverage their position in the marketplace. And more often than not, if you have the right type of board of advisors, they also add credibility to you, the company. And it's informal, so that's great, and you can take the advice or not. And then it's flexible, again, because you're working together. And it serves as a revenue multiplier, as you can imagine, because you have built your business, you've built everything, and now all of a sudden you have these advisors, sometimes high net worth individuals with deep Rolodexes and extensive networks, and they leverage this on your behalf, and you get to pursue a multiple of venues or avenues to drive and increase your business. And I often get invited these days to serve on both boards and board of advisors, and you know, I have a little bit of a network myself, and I love doing it, and I love giving back and help companies go to the next level. I have another Rolodex story that's at a different level, and that's going back to Star Branding and my partnership with Tommy Hilfiger. But this was long before we formed Star Branding in 2009. Many of you may have heard of a designer by the name of Michael Kors, fairly well known now. Michael actually came to Tommy back then, and he came for advice, and it was not unique. Almost every single designer has come to Tommy for advice at one time or the other. And as I said earlier, you know, Tommy, he's no accident. He's a really savvy guy, smart, sophisticated, very down to earth, and happy to help. And Michael came to Tommy, and he asked for advice. He really needed advice, but he didn't come for advice about how to grow his business. He was at his wit's end, and he was actually asking Tommy how to shut down his company in the cleanest, kind of less messy way possible. He was planning to go out of business. And without going too far into detail, I can tell you what Tommy did. He did give Michael actually some advice as to how he could kind of restructure his business a bit, focus a little less on sportswear, and take some of the cue out of the European luxury brands and focus more on handbags, etc. And Michael certainly took that to heart. But then what Tommy did was he leveraged his Rolodex, and he called some of his former backers, the guys that had been part of taking Tommy Hilfiger to the first or initial stages of superstardom. And because of the close relationship, they believed in Tommy, they listened to Tommy, and they came in and they invested in Michael Kors. And as they say, the rest is history. Michael Kors today has a market cap of over $9 billion. So Michael Kors went from going to Tommy for advice as to how to shut down his business to having a market cap north of $9 billion. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that's the power of having a strong board of advisors. That's what strong advisors can do for you. So at that note, we covered the 7 steps. We talked about the significance of brand and brand building and how it leads to wealth. So I have already mentioned that Greg Ryder is my partner. I mentioned how excited I am about what we're doing together. So without further ado, Greg will finish out this presentation. So Greg Ryder, a pleasure. Take it away, Greg. And to all of you, thank you so much for listening. I really hope that you enjoyed it and it was worthwhile. Greg.
Man, that was absolutely fantastic. So you guys do me a favor. Let's show Bernd some love. And if you received value, if you thought this was some great content that could help your business, help you understand, really how to build wealth through brand equity, put a 5 in the box. And if that was massive value, put a 5. If it was great value, put a 4. If it was okay value, put a 3. If it wasn't really any value, put a 2. And if you really thought it was a waste of your time, put a 1. We're going to take this information. This literally is Bernd's, he's new to this, and I thought you did an awesome job. It was absolutely incredible. But are you guys okay if I share with you a few more things? We're not done yet, so don't go anywhere. I want to share with you a couple different things that could be really a benefit to you, and I want to share with you why we just did what we did and where we're going. And the first thing I want to do is I want to introduce AJ Adams, who's also on the line with us. And AJ is the CEO and co-founder of a digital branding agency called D6 Media. And this is a partnership that we have with Celebrity Lifestyle Brands. We are 50-50 partners with AJ and his team. And so, AJ, are you there? Just want to make sure you can hear me and you're there.
Yep, I'm here.
All right, thanks. So what did you think of Bernd's content and sitting through that? You sat there and listened to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say this. I've heard a lot of this information several times, and it never gets old. I always learn something new from Bernd because this is the kind of information that helps you build a massively successful company. So it's of massive value. And the fact that Bernd is giving it away on a free webinar is incredible because the value of what you could take one thing from this or the whole strategy and build a multi-million-dollar business.
So here's a screenshot of D6 Media site. And the next thing I want to show you too is D6. They just really recently rebranded and did a makeover for the website for Bethany Frankel, who was made famous for the Skinny Girl and the Skinny Girl cocktails. And she's got her Housewives of New York, and she's got a real estate flipping TV show. She's a guest shark at Shark Tank. So we are very happy to have our own in-house digital branding agency. And this is kind of like the very first time we've even made that publicly available to you. So I want to ask you a question. Would you find it helpful if you had access to Bernd, AJ, and myself to help you implement these 7 steps in your business? If you think you would find this value, put a yes in the box. If you could have direct access to us to implement these 7 steps, put a yes in the box. Let me know what you're doing. And I'm going to kind of keep going on here. And I also want to ask you another same question, different way. Would you find value in a live coaching from Bernd, AJ, and Greg? And going deep into each one of these 7 steps, because obviously Bernd covered a lot of content tonight. Obviously, you guys are almost on here 2 hours. It was amazing, and thank you so much for still being here. I really believe it was worth your time, and I'm not looking at all the comments because I got my screen, sharing my screen. But I do know this. I do know that you listening to this information is the first step to you changing your life and creating wealth. But you have to go deep on each one of these. So here's what we're thinking about doing. Here's what we have for you. Is it okay with you guys if I share with you what we have for you? Tell me yes. Give me some love. Say yes, it's good. So here's what we got. We are launching Celebrity Masterclass. And Celebrity Masterclass is live training with celebrities and powerhouses and moguls, our first one being Bernd Ullman, to train and coach people and help people with their whatever it is that celebrity and coach is going to bring to the table. In this case, it's going to be building brand equity, accelerating your business, and really implementing and executing on everything Bernd talked about tonight. So we put together a schedule, a 7-week live celebrity masterclass with Bert Ullman, AJ Adams, and Greg Ryder. This is going to start March 15th and go through April 25th. It's going to be every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time and 8 p.m. Eastern time. And on March 14th, we're going to go deep on step one brand, one message. On March 21st, we're going to go deep on concentrate and dominate. On March 28th, we're going to go deep on brand the feeling. You guys get the point. We're going to go deep on each one of these steps. We're going to continue to add more content in all of these different steps, and then we're going to create the checklists, and we're going to create the different things that you need to really give you and your team a roadmap to where you can execute on creating wealth through brand equity. You guys like this so far? Give me a big yes, amen, if you like this so far and you think this would be great for your business, because I am super excited about doing this. And this is something that's part of Celebrity Lifestyle Brands' business model, is we want to help celebrities and influencers monetize their social media through e-commerce and digital media. And so we're launching the Celebrity Masterclass. And boy, oh boy, do we have some really cool things in store for you as that relates to that. My question to you is, if you were to take that 7-week course over the next 2 months, what would it be worth to your business? How much value would that bring? How much clarity would it give you? How much increased revenues? How much increased social media? How much increased brand recognition? What's the value that would give to you, right? I want you to imagine that you do this and you get these results. You're going to get a better return on investment with all of your advertising. You're going to lower your customer acquisition costs, like Kurt was talking about earlier. You're going to command a premium price. You're going to develop loyal clients and customers who buy, promote, and buy again. And that's going to make your life easier. It's actually going to give you freedom. It's actually going to give you freedom and financial freedom that we're all working for as entrepreneurs. And at the end of the day, your business will create brand equity, which then positions you for an exit maybe 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, whenever that is. And we want you to have that brand equity so you can really create an exit. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Do you guys agree? Do you think this is a great idea for every business owner to have? Let me see what you guys, I just pulled up my question, but I want to see, give me a yes if you love this. I see, I just popped in, I see tons of yeses and sures, and looks awesome, sounds excellent. This is what I was looking for. I'll never forget this webinar. That's a great comment. Thank you for that. Awesome. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Let me see. I got my page here. So right now, you're probably wondering, okay, they're going to try to sell something. Well, this is an investment. This is an investment in yourself. This is an investment in your team. This is an investment in your business. This is an investment in your financial future. And you're probably saying to yourself, what's it going to cost for me to invest in this masterclass live training? And I can tell you this with 99% certainty, this will probably never be offered again. And the reason it will never be offered again is we're going to record it. We're going to do a really good job of transcribing it. We're going to make checklists. We're going to strip the audio away from the video. Everything's going to be put up in a box, and it's going to be a digital product. And Bert's time is so valuable, he'll never probably do this again. He won't need to do this again. So that's the whole point about why we're creating a digital marketing. And you got to remember, Bert's worked with Macy's and all these different retailers. He even did a collection for American Idol, and he worked with the Rolling Stones and Steven Tyler. And you got to understand his time is so valuable, and where he plays and the level he plays at is something that you on this call right now have unprecedented opportunity to get his wisdom and insight live. Like seriously live. He's going to be on every week, and we're going to do Q&A every week. I want you to consider this. Here's a guy that took FUBU from 40 million to 700 million. Fat Fashions from 80 million and losing money to 800 million and profitable. He launched brands for Jennifer Lopez, Nicki Minaj, Adam Levine, and many, many others. He closed the largest celebrity deal in history worth $3.5 billion. His biggest client, now get this, his biggest client signed a 5-year agreement, and I didn't even get I typoed it here, $350,000 a month for 5 years. $350,000 a month for 5 years. His other clients, and more normal clients, invest between $30,000 and $50,000 per month to have Bert help them with their brand. And we're going to even take it to a whole other discussion of business acceleration. How do you leverage everything you're doing to make more money. And then you're going to compound all his knowledge and his wisdom with my knowledge and my wisdom. And I'm on the more of the investment banking side. I'm on the marketing side. And then you got AJ, who's this youthful young guy on the digital marketing and the social media side. You're going to have three powerhouses on a weekly basis help you take your business and your brand to the next level. So here's what we're going to do. This course is going to sell for $2,497. Direct training, live training with Bert Ullman, $2,497. How many people think that that's a reasonable investment for a business owner to make in their business to have to get a guy like Bernd on their team? And again, we're talking about having a number of people on these live classes, so it's like a group situation, so we can afford to justify Bernd's time. But $2,497 is what this course is going to sell for. Now, I'm going to make you a special offer in a few minutes, and I'm going to share with you exactly why I'm making you a special offer, because we do have a give and take here. We're not doing this just for fun. There's a very strategic, thing we're doing with our business here. But I want to ask you, if you did take this course and you spent $2,497 and you got one more client a month, would it pay for itself? I don't know what business you're in. I don't know what you do. I don't know where it goes. But if you got one more business client a month because your branding was selling before you even showed up, would it be worth it to you? For a lot of people, the answer is absolutely yes. Now, as always, because I've done a lot of these webinars and know what's going on, we're going to offer some bonus gifts to you tonight. For the people that make the investment tonight, you're going to get these bonus gifts. If you do not make the investment tonight, and you have to think about it, or you have to talk to some partners, I cannot promise you these bonus gifts. These are for people that are going to take action tonight. So if you register tonight for this masterclass, here's what you're going to get. You're going to get an annual, actually, I'm going to give you a lifetime. I'm just going to throw a lifetime. So I have a project management system called BizPad that I own personally, Greg Ryder, and it's going to help you maximize your productivity. It's going to help you save time and money. It's going to help you systemize your business. It's going to help you get organized. It's going to free your cluttered mind, and it's going to record and store all your stuff. It's going to help you hold your team accountable. And I have a plan on this website, bizpad.com. It's $97 a month. I was going to give you a year, but I was going to give it to you forever. Right? You can use it with your entire team, and I think it's an amazing value. And even a 1 year's value, it's worth $1,164. I constantly promote this. I love people when they use it. And if you're the type of person that needs to get organized and hold your team accountable, you must manage your prospects. I mean, not your prospects, not your time. You have to manage your projects. So it's a great, great bonus gift. Secondly, AJ is going to throw in a training, it really very quickly, how to convert your followers into buyers. So if you already have a list, you already have social media following, his goal, he's going to try to train you and teach you some strategies and some tactics online that are going to also enhance your brand, but also can generate some money that would pay for this course. His goal is to give you some strategies and tactics you can execute immediately where you can pay for this course. And AJ, tell them real quick your case study of what you guys did and the whole point behind this, convert your followers into buyers.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it, Greg. So I've been working with social media for a long time, and when I started in business, I had no capital. I didn't know anything about marketing, so I really had to dive in deep and learn how to make something out of nothing. And that's the phenomenal power of social media. It's a tool that's absolutely free, and you can put money behind it, but it's so powerful to reach people. And I teach on this live training is how in D6 Media, when we launched our company, we took $26 just testing, not even a real marketing budget. We were just testing some tools and some tactics. We took $26, deployed it on social media, and I'm going to teach you the steps in this live training. And we converted that $26 within 45 days into over $20,000 of new business contracts with clients that we acquired just by using some simple steps. And really what drives it is the strategy behind how you're using social media. And for many of you, the fact is you'll get even much better results because you maybe have a bigger marketing budget, or you have a larger following, or you have a larger list. This applies online, it applies in person, and I'm going to show you exactly how we did it so that you can take it and 10x it, do it even better.
So that's a fantastic bonus gift. Thanks for that, AJ. So that's just like a $197 value, but we want you to have that right away so you can, make some money to help pay for your investment into this live training, right? Bonus number 3. This is probably one of the most valuable bonuses. And again, we can't do this for everybody. There's not enough human capital in the world to do this for hundreds and hundreds of people. The people that take action tonight. AJ and his team is going to do a brand audit. They're going to go through your social media. They're going to go through your websites. They're going to look at your YouTube, your Instagram, your Twitter, your Pinterest, your website, maybe a brochure, maybe a flyer, maybe a business card. And they're going to look at it and they're going to identify your brand strengths and the opportunities that you have to improve those. They're going to communicate with you and share with you where the disconnects are in your brand messaging. They're going to show you exactly through your branding and your messaging what's killing your online conversions. And they're going to help you with the unleveraged marketing channels. It's just going to be a great brand audit. Now, these brand audits are $1,495. So these are kind of like what we call a tripwire, where we offer these to people. Hey, for $1,495, we'll do a serious brand audit for you and tell you all the stuff you need to fix. Now, obviously, why we do that, right? Because we want you to have a better brand, but inevitably, people raise their hand and go, golly, I had no idea I was so off. Can you help me fix that? And that's how AJ gets business. We do the brand audit. That brand audit investment of $1,495 goes towards the retainer fee. So it's like they got the brand audit for free. If they hire D6 Media, it's just a great overall value. But for you guys, you're going to get this as a bonus gift. We're making your investment in this course. So here's the recap. You're going to get access to the 7 Steps Wealth Acceleration Masterclass, which is $24.97. You're going to get the BizPad VIP subscription, which that's just 1 year's of subscription, $11.64. You're going to get the live trading and how to monetize. You can turn social media into buyers. You get the brand audits, a total value of $5,353. So the Celebrity Masterclass, it's going to be live. I want to point out a couple things. One, you're going to get access to a membership site. We're going to have a specific membership site, password protected, for you and your team. Now, that's the other thing. If you want to get your team on this, you have a CMO, you have a COO, you have a spouse, you have a business partner, doesn't matter. Who you sign up tonight, you can get them all on these calls. You can get them on the teams, and you can give them access to your membership site. So it's like you have Burnt, Allman, Greg Ryder, and AJ on demand for life, because this recordings are going to be done. We're going to take the videos and the recordings. You're going to have them for life, and we're going to strip the audio from the video. So if you're the type of person who likes to listen to stuff when you're on the treadmill or you're walking, you're going to have that ability. As we get towards the end of this and we get this up, we're going to make checklists. We're going to transcribe it. And we're going to take all of your questions. We're going to make sure that every single one of your questions gets answered before this course is over. So you're going to get the chat transcript, checklist, and Bert might be killing me right now. But Bert, AJ, and myself, I came up with this literally 20 minutes ago. I had this 20 minutes ago. We're going to come up with the Golden Vendor Rolodex. So I was thinking you might need somebody who help you with your trademarks, your copyrights, your patents. You might need somebody to help you with your copywriting, your website design. Of course, obviously, that's what D6 Media does some as well. We're going to come up with the Golden Vendor Rolodex of trusted resources that we would refer people. Like I tell people, if I refer people to you, they are trusted. I've worked with them personally. I've read them checks personally. I never refer people business people that I haven't used, because my reputation's on the line, and that's the most important thing in the world to me is my reputation. So we're going to put together a little golden Rolodex of vendors for things that you might need. And I don't even know what that is right now, but maybe it's a manufacturing, maybe it's a prototyping, maybe it's product sourcing, maybe it's fabric sourcing, maybe it's retail, maybe it's QVC, HSN. We have them all. So we're going to come up with a vendor Rolodex for you that's worth its weight in gold, right? So how many people are still here online that you're saying, this, Greg, you're speaking to me, I need this, I want to get involved, but you want a real special deal? Tell me, say, yes, I'm still here, Greg, I want a special deal. What is the special deal? Give it to me, I'm still here. I opened up the question box. I want to see how many people are still here listening to me. I see yes, yes, yes. Please hurry, I want to go. Okay, yes, holy cow. Yes, yes, yes. Deal me in. I like the smiley face. Okay, perfect. All right, thanks. I appreciate I like to have fun with this, and I want to make sure that everyone's still here with me. Okay, here we go. So here's the special deal. Let me go page down. $997. Okay, and you can get started at burntollman.com, and I'm going to go ahead and put this. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the chat box right now. So the little link, you can hit send. So you can just look at the chat box and get that link. And I'm going to ask you a couple more questions, right? So $997. So I want to ask you a question. Do you have dreams? How many people, if you have dreams of building a multi-million-dollar business, put a 1 in the question box. And I want to ask you, if that's you, because I know some people don't aspire to do that. I know that's not for, this is not for everybody, by the way. And I appreciate you if you're listening to us and you're here to support us. But if you're the one that you really want to build a multi-million-dollar business, you really want to create wealth, you really want to change your life, have that financial freedom, if this helped you do that, what would this program be worth to you? That's the mindset you have to get into. You have to ask that question. So I'm even going to make the deal even better. This is it. Bottom line, you can get started now for $497. At the checkout page, you have to put in CLB 500 to save $500. That's the best we can do. That's what we're offering, and we're not going to offer this price ever again. So you got to get in tonight. You got to get those bonus gifts. You got to go sign up. And I want to share with you why we're doing this. Why are we offering this special price? Because Bernt's like, dude, I don't really want to sell myself for that cheap. I'm like, Bernt, I want to get, these are D-Rex customers. Today I invite some Angel Network customers of ours. So everyone on this call is a personal relationship of me or AJ or Bernt. So we have not run Facebook ads to this. We haven't got any affiliates in this. We have no joint venture partners. So one, we want to offer you a special deal because you're already a loyal customer or you're loyal to me on our list and you're reading our emails. That's number one. Two, we need your questions. Each week, you're going to give us questions and we're going to go, wow, we didn't cover that. We didn't think of that. And we want and need those questions. Why do we want and need those questions? Because we're in the final stages of writing the Wealth Acceleration Blueprint. And it's going to be Bernt's first book. And our goal is to take the 7-week course, all your questions, and make sure that we get the questions answered in this book. That is then going to be, we're going to try to do our best to do a New York Times bestseller. No promises there. That's a tough thing to do. But it's part of a book that we're going to do. And part of that, we need and want your testimonies. And I'm going to ask everybody to give me your word that if you do make this investment and you do get results and you do what we ask you to do, that you're going to give us a testimony. Because we do intend on continuing selling this as a digital product in the Celebrity Masterclass membership site for $2,497. But we need your testimonies. We need your testimonies and we need your results. So do you guys think that's a fair deal that we give you $500 off the $997 price tonight and you guys can then give us your testimonies? How many people are okay with giving us your testimonies upon you're getting results? Give me a yes if you say that's okay. Yep, I am. Yep, yep, yep. Yes, me. Yep. Thank you. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to come back. We're going to do question and answers. I'm literally 1 minute from being complete here, I think. Okay. So, here's the question I have to ask people. What is it going to cost you not to take action? If you're sitting there and you know something, you have a business, you aspire to build a multi-million-dollar business, and you sit there going, I got access to a guy that's done $6 billion worth of deals, and he's going to answer my questions live? Are you kidding me? He's had clients pay him $350,000 a month. He has clients paying $30,000 to $50,000 a month on a regular basis, and you have access to him for a measly $497. And you're going, I need this. I want to do this. And then you're on that fence. I want you to just think about where you're going to be in 6 months if you don't do it, and where you're going to be in 6 months if you do it. Because the real question is, what is it going to cost you not to take action? That's the real question. Because, and I'm guilty myself. I procrastinate. I put things off. I don't prioritize. And so, and again, I don't want, look, I'm not trying to push anybody into this. If this is for you, great. There's plenty of people out there. I don't want to push, I'm not trying to push anybody or force anybody and do any of that kind of stuff. But if you've known in your heart of hearts, this is what you've been looking for and you feel it and you got to do it. You have to ask yourself, what's going to cost you not to take action? And our job is to get you to take action. And I can't give it away for free. You've got to have some skin in the game. You have to make an investment. You have to be there. You have to show up. And even if you miss a week, you can catch the next week and get the recordings. Get your team members on. So, think about that. What's it going to cost you not to take action? So again, get started now. Go get signed up, and let's open it up for Q&A. And I'm going to get Bert back on and AJ on, And I'm going to open up the question box and start answering any questions you have. So, okay. You there, Bert?
I'm here.
Man, you are a trooper. Bert's on the East Coast, so he is staying up awful late for us. Okay. Could you please list the bonuses again? I had a 10-minute emergency. So, Ivy, you're going to get, here, I can even go back to that screen, I think. You're going to get BizPad for life. Oh, this is going too far. There it is. You're going to get BizPad for life. You're going to get a brand audit, and you're going to get a little training where AJ is going to help teach you how to turn some of your social media into buyers with the idea that hopefully you can make enough money to pay for your investment in this course at $497. That's what's going on there. Okay. Now here's a question. Is this program more suitable to guide brand owners that have physical and online brand business, or can it work only to e-commerce owners that sell online? No, this is to any business owner. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything about, I don't know if you want to, if any of you guys want to give an answer too, just jump in there, Bernd or AJ, but this is for people that want to build a real business. And it could be an e-commerce business, it could be a brick and mortar business, it could be a combination of both. It's totally up to you. It's suitable to help you learn business and insights and wisdom on how to accelerate your business in the market. Matt says, I'm in. Great deal. Thanks, Matt. We appreciate that. Okay, here's another question. The guidance from Bernd, Greg, and AJ is more suitable to people that have brand business only in USA or also in other countries. How do we think this fits for other countries, Bernd? Because I'm going to let Bernd answer that, because Bernd literally has worked in, I don't know, 75 around the world. How many countries have you worked in, Bernd?
Well, at this point, I don't even know. So I honestly think that we are living in an increasingly global world. So my view is that it works everywhere. When I started out, I was the corporate vice president at Donna Karan, as I said. That was actually Donna Karan International. I oversaw their international business. And similarly, as you may have picked up on, I was president of Fubo International. And in Fat Fashions, I drove a global business, and we had partners probably in 40 plus different countries. So I think these principles apply everywhere. The reality is because courtesy of my background, we have actually relationships, boots on the ground in a number of international markets and countries as well. But what we're teaching and what we're talking about applies to businesses everywhere. And just to the former question about, is this for any one type of business? No, it's absolutely not. It's really about teaching you how to stand out in a crowd, to set your business apart, so you can allow yourself to charge what you think your service or your product or your time is worth. So it doesn't really matter what you do. You in essence, if you think about coffee, I think a lot of people think of Starbucks, right? And in essence, what this will allow you is simply to become the Starbucks of your industry. You want to just become a trusted destination. So if you're an e-commerce site, and I don't know, let's say you're selling, books first and foremost. You want people, if they think of books, they think of you. And that's what we can help you to achieve. So all businesses, all markets.
So he says, sorry to bother you, but I got one more question. He says, the support of Greg, AJ, and Bernd is just for the 7 weeks. Can it be for an entire year? It's like, no, I'm sorry, but we're going to be there for you. You're going to get in our little clan, and we're going to open you up to stuff, but we cannot make ourselves available for an entire year. We all are very, very busy and charge a lot of money for this. We're creating a course. We're going to write this book, and it's going to be our digital course. So thanks for that answer. And then I love this one. It's I'm so blessed to be invited to this webinar. Thank you. I'm joining tonight. God bless. Thank you for that, Lori. Really appreciate it. We're glad to have you in and do that. Okay, here's another one. Thank you very much for being the answers. I'm very grateful for that. Thank you. All right, very cool. So, Bert, do you have any other questions that you see on there, AJ? Because on my screen, I'm on one screen. I'm kind of my hotel room here, and I have a hard time.
Yeah, we have another question. And what about people like me that don't have yet any brand business or don't yet have a brand business? This program will this program work for me, or will it only work? Basically, will it only work for those who already have an existing brand, or can it work for someone who doesn't yet have a brand?
Yeah, so
You can answer that one. Go ahead.
I mean, I think, we can all answer that, but from my vantage point, if you don't have a brand yet, you are in a great position, because the reality is a lot of people that have built something, what I often find is in the beginning, when I start talking about branding, it is not uncommon that people kind of, their eyes glaze over a little bit, and they somehow think that branding just have to do with, coming up with a pretty logo. So they have all been so busy, building their businesses and building their brands, but they didn't build brands because they thought that branding was just about the logo. So some of those companies and some of those businesses may need to have that AJ brand audit first to kind of go back and hit the reset button a little bit and start building and get all the pieces together. If you haven't built your brand yet, we can give you all the tools on how to get started in the correct manner, because I think a lot of the advantages, I said earlier about Daymond John and the power of broken. I said if I'd had $1 million when we launched, I would have made, $1 million mistake, because most new businesses make mistakes, right? So part of what we can do is to alleviate some of those mistakes, because we have made our fair shares of mistakes. I shared with you my Pizza Pronto story, for instance. So that's part of what you get when you're with a team like us. We help guide you and avoid some of those pitfalls, so you can have a smoother ride maybe than we might have had when we started out.
Here's this question that kind of goes in line with that, but I think you can add to it, Bernd. I'm starting only with ideas right now. I envision a parent brand to cover several different entities like Fiction Works, selling physical products and inventing new products. Do I need a new brand for each entity, or just a division under the main brand?
Yeah. That's not something that it would be prudent for me to answer without asking a lot more questions, because the answer to that is yes. You depending on what the products are, depending on the market positioning, there is no right or wrong answer, but there will be an answer that is right or wrong for you. But we would need a lot more information to guide you there. I like brand consistency, but if things are not related, you may be better off having multiple entities. The one thing that I will caution is that, it's the old says easy, does hard. Starting one branded business or one brand can warrant all of your time and all of your efforts. So to start multiple simultaneously, that's a very big undertaking. But I would love to kind of get into that and see what it is and understand it better, and then we will be able to come up with the right approach.
No, that's good. And he says that's a fair answer. Thank you for that. And I look at that too, and I want to say one thing too about Bernd is this way, I'm this way, and AJ's this way, is that we're going to tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. And again, you can think that we're very opinionated people because we have experience and wisdom, and you can take it for what it's worth. But I constantly coach entrepreneurs, and I constantly talk to people. Even today, I was having coffee downstairs, and I met a lawyer who wants to be an entrepreneur, and she has this thing she invented. And I told her some stuff she didn't necessarily want to hear, but she needed to hear it. Right? Just kind of like Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank. He says some stuff that people need to hear sometimes. Okay, how about you? You got another question, AJ?
Yep, got another question here. So does your program also provide us with relevant connections with celebrities, suppliers, and important distribution companies so that we can partner with them and grow our brand quickly and in a sustainable way? So I think that goes back to the offer that that we threw in last minute with the Golden Rolodex. So you guys will have access to certain connections and contacts, but in terms of celebrity suppliers, it really depends on what your business is and if it's the right opportunity and what that looks like. But the most important thing is taking this information, get into the masterclass, and learn how to lay the right foundation for your brand. And when you do that and you celebrate your brand, you grow your business, then you position yourself to not necessarily have to chase the influencers to grow your brand. You'll have people chasing you, and that's the power of having a brand with position and with power.
Okay, so Lori's saying, I'm trying to make the payment. What do I have to do to get the discount? There's a discount code there. Actually, I could even show it on my screen. There's a discount field, and you have to put in CLB 500. I'm going to go ahead and show that on my screen because I think I have that. Let's see here. Let me get that link. I'm going to go to that exact same link you guys went to, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. And if you've already made the investment and you're joining, go ahead. Please tell us, hey, I'm in, and we'll shout you out. So here's what it looks like. You're going to go here. It's going to bring you to a step like this. And then I already put the code in, but you're going to see this little coupon code right here. You put in CLB 500, and then you hit apply code. And it's automatically going to give you a $495 discount and take the price to $497. You can also pay with PayPal, and our shopping cart is secured by Norton. You can also pay with your MasterPass if you use that. And once you get that, we'll get a notification, and you'll be in the system, and we'll start emailing you and letting you know everything that's going on. Get you going there. So thank you for asking that, Lori.
All right, we've got another question here.
And then and I want to do this. I want to give this as like a last call for questions. So if you have a question that's important, let us know, because we've been on here going a long time. Your time is valuable, ours is, and I think I don't see that many more questions coming. So last call for questions, everybody.
So this question is, are the connections only in the U.S. or in other countries? What type of connections are they? Suppliers only? So Burton kind of answered that. Burton has worked in many different countries with many different brands. He was president of FUBU International. So Burton does have connections all over the world. And again, it just depends on where your business is at and at what stage you're at if you're ready for those connections.
Yeah, and I'd answer that by saying, if you say, hey, I need a connection for prototyping, or I need a connection for, like the lady I met with this morning, she needed a connection for sourcing a product in China. I'll give her a connection, a trusted source. I have a couple of them, and I know Burnt does, and I know Kevin Harrington does. So if you ask us for a vendor connection that's trusted, that's going to save you time and energy, if we have it, we're going to give it to you. If we don't, we're going to let you know we don't. So it's real simple.
All right, and do we have time for one more question?
Yeah.
All right, last question is, does the program teach and guide us to create a strong brand online to initially sell e-commerce? And the answer to that is absolutely. These strategies that Burnt teaches, that I teach, that Greg teaches, will help you whether your brand is online or not. And I will also add in that today with the internet and social media, online is the new marketplace. So you absolutely should have your business online and have a presence through social media. And for those of you who register tonight for the masterclass, you're going to get that extra live training with me, and that's where I'm going to walk through how you leverage social media and your online presence to sell products online, and that does apply to e-commerce.
And let me say this one last thing, that there's not false scarcity. We're going to keep this $497 price open for you and everyone on this call through Sunday. Now, you're not going to get the bonus gifts. You have to invest tonight if you're going to get the bonus gifts. But you will be able to get the price for $497 through Sunday. Then next week, starting Monday, it's going to be $997, and we're not coming down to $497 again. And we are going to get some affiliates and joint ventures. We have a few strategic partners that really want to promote this, and we are going to start running some Facebook ads, and we're going to get a few more people in this class. So keep that in mind, that the bonus gifts are great bonus gifts, but if you want to get in, make your commitment, get in tonight, and you get those bonus gifts. If not, you'll have till Sunday to get in at the $497 price. And of course, we'll be emailing you, just like we're marketers, we'll be emailing you and reminding you and getting the replay out there. I know a lot of people came in at the halftime mark. I know people do want to talk to their partners or their spouses. I know a lot of people here that are T-Rex customers already have BizPad. So we want you to get those bonus gifts. We also want you we want you in this class. It's going to be a fantastic class. So any last questions that we need to answer? Or are we done?
It looks like that's it. Yeah.
Okay, well, with that, Bern, I'll let you say goodbye, and then I'll let AJ say goodbye, and I'll follow up with a final goodbye.
All right. It's terrific. Yeah, I just want to say I thought that was great. I really enjoyed also this offer, guys. I think that's smartly laid out, and I think it brings tremendous value. I like to maybe just add one more point. So you were very rational, Greg, and I thought absolutely terrific in saying, hey, there is a give and take. There is a rationale for why we're offering at this price, and I think that's all true. But I would like to add one more. I think there is one more piece, and not to go overboard, because, what I'm about to say, I don't want it to come across or be misunderstood. But I do think there is an element of wanting to give back. So I don't want it to sound cheeky or anything like that. But honestly, at this stage of our careers, certainly Greg and myself, it is nice. I feel that we have, we've done a lot. We have accomplished some things. And if we have the ability to help some people to kind of, again, avoid some of the pitfalls, benefit from some of the things that we have done, I actually derive some pleasure out of that. I would like that. I've done, and I don't want to get too deep and I don't want to take too much longer, but I've built a lot of businesses, and through that I've helped a lot of people, but the reality is what we're doing is not exactly brain surgery. So from that vantage point, meaning I'm not saving lives when I do what I do, but if I can, personally speaking, just for me personally, if I can reach out and I know that I have made a difference in your life or in your business life, that's really, I think, it's very meaningful to me anyway. So that's just so you know. So we care and we really want to do this together. So if you think this is valuable, please join us. We would love it. And I'm looking forward to working with you. So that's my goodbye. Thank you very much.
How about you, AJ?
Yeah, I just want to say this has been great information. And for those of you, I'm the young kid here beside Greg and Bert, and I'll tell you, I've learned immensely from them. And in the time that I've known Greg and Bert, I've learned from them in business. D6 Media has been massively accelerated. And really the reason why I'm connected with them is because of branding. Branding is how I grew my business, launched it, got it moving when I started from nothing. I don't have an MBA. I'm not formally educated. I'm a high school dropout. But I learned branding, I learned marketing, and I learned sales, and I learned a lot of the strategies that Bern is now teaching. So they work. And I'll just say that I live life, and I operate my business by a very simple principle, which is don't compete, dominate, because competition is a losing strategy. And if you want to dominate in your market, in your business, your industry, you have to have a brand that accelerates your business, that gets you the attention of the right people, your ideal customers and clients, and that's how you're going to win in business.
Well, thanks, AJ. And I'm going to ditto what Bernd said. I do get a great pleasure of helping people and seeing people succeed and hearing the stories. It just gives me happiness and joy. And I know Bernd is he's been hanging around me enough lately the last couple of years where he's kind of seen that and experienced that. He's like, wow, this is really cool. This is fun. So with that being said, I want to say thank you guys for your time. We know it's valuable. We appreciate it. Let us know if you have any questions. You can send, hit us up on Facebook or whatever. We'll see you in the class, and you got to do what I do. You got to wake up every single day with an attitude of gratitude. Like the minute your eyes open, start giving thanks for the roof over your head, the bed that you're sleeping on, whatever it is you can give thanks for, and then go tell somebody you love them, and I promise you'll have a better day. Signing off, everybody.